were working for low grade. That was the joke, as the actors, because he'd done a lot of these, extravaganza movies with big casts that had absolutely bombed. And the same thing happened to this one. But I think this was a good film. It was just probably the way they timing and all the rest of it had something to do with it. So, and also, the subject matter is, of course, it's not a comedy. Let's face it. So, I guess they just asked me if I would do it. And I read the script, of course, and I liked it a lot. And I was fascinated with the whole subject. And I was also delighted to find out that what's his name was going to be the captain, Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
And I'd always been a tremendous admirer of his. And it was such a surprise to learn that he had such a great sense of humor, and everything was, we laughed our way through our scenes. He was adorable. He was a lovely man. And I was so thrilled to find that out. I had no idea. And I got to know a lot of good people on that film, actually. I introduced Lynn Frederick to Peter Sellers, and that was only because I was working with her, and I took her to this thing, and Peter was there, and I was sitting next to him. He turned to me and he said, Malcolm, I can go into a room with 40 women, and one of those women is poison for me, and I'll go straight up to her and ask her to marry me. Well, he married Lynn too. So, and that was the beginning. That night was the beginning of it. But because I was working with her, and I said, do you want to go to this thing? It wasn't for Peter. It was for my agent. Maybe she was with the same agent. I can't remember now. But he had a birthday party for his sister, and that's how we all ended up there. Yes, I think that my agent, Dennis Selinger, he was a kind of a packager kind of guy at ICM, and everything came over his desk. Anything for Michael Caine, Sean Connery, Peter Sellers, it was, him. And so, I think it was one of the few films made at that time in England. And anyway, I what wasn't to like? It was a nice part, and so I was very happy to do it. And off we went to Barcelona on a cruise ship, whatever it was. And it was a cruise ship, not the one in the movie, of course. This one was up and down 10 miles off Barcelona. And it just went up and down, up and down. I was sick of it after a while. But and then we shot the rest of it at Elstree, which was Lou Grade's studio, And and there was lots of people in there. I just saw that Jonathan Pryce was in it, Georgina Hale, Paul Koslow. Sadly, he's passed away. I think a lot of people passed away, of course, and Janet Sussman was in it. I was with her at Stratford-on-Avon. It was an amazing cast. I mean, people like Keith Barron and people like that. Fantastic, really cool, and and everybody, Victor Spinetti too. Everybody came out to do it. Everybody wanted to be part of it, I guess, because of the subject matter, and all the rest of it. So it is staggering. Of course, Faye Dunaway, was she was the sort of big star. Faye's Faye, I kind of had fun with her a little bit, teasing her a bit. I remember juggling fruit behind her back, and then everyone laughing, and she turned round, and I sort of went, and she went, what were you doing? And I goes, you'll never know. And poor old Oscar Werner, all I remember is him standing on his mark on this boat going up and down. At sort of 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going, what the hell is he standing there for? Faye's not going to show up till midday. You know that. And then there'll be another hour of titty-farting on the thing, and, and a bit of breeze, of course, on a boat on the ocean. A bit of breeze, that's another hour, to fix the hair. So the guy is probably 12 hours too early, which often proved to be the case. But he was a very nice man, Oscar Werner. And apparently he'd done a very brilliant Hamlet in his day in Germany. And he was quite a name in a way, a sort of cultish kind of name, anyway, to us, because he'd done fairly interesting movies that were sort of cultish, And Max, of course, had done the Bergman movies. And yeah, it was an amazing, Lee Grant and Sam Wanamaker were the parents of Lynn's character. I can't remember their names, but and then there was Helmut Grimm, or as I used to call him, Grim Helmets. I used to tease him a bit. He had the nasty Nazi part that I played in The Passage. I was very glad to swap roles and do a more sympathetic sort of, the sort of love interest, really, the young love interest in the movie. But the thing that I remember the most, actually, is how much I adored Stuart Rosenberg. What a wonderful director for actors he was. What a nice man. He was really a delight. And his wife was lovely, had a very, I think, a son who was around a bit. But he really was absolutely fabulous. And I know he was staying in a hotel at Hyde Park, Inn on the Park or something, whatever it was called. And, he, at the end of the shoot, he came over to my house and brought me a big box of, those individual jams that he'd been given every morning, and he'd put them in a box. And he brought them over as a gift. It was hilarious. I mean, good God, there must have been, 150 of these jams. Just weird memories. Like Stuart said to me, hey, do you want to say hi to Orson? I went, yeah. He goes, he liked your movie, If. He really loved that film. I went, oh, wow. Well, that's great. He goes, well, we're going to have breakfast with him tomorrow. So we were in the Ritz in Barcelona, and I go up, with Stuart next morning. And we go up, and there's the great man, and just wonderful listening to that voice. And I can't remember the discussion. It certainly wasn't about the movie, but we were just chatting away. I think it was about Franco, actually, because what had happened, Franco died right in the middle, and there were free champagne in every restaurant and bar in Barcelona for a week. They were so thrilled to get rid of him. And I think that's what was on everybody's mind. And then sort of 6 waiters came in with silver platters of food. And I thought that, there was going to be 10 or 20 people coming. And it was all for Orson. Hams and cheeses and fruits and figs and mangoes. I mean, it was insane. And he was saying, yeah, just leave it there, So, so I remember that distinctly. And it's really interesting because I watched him and I thought to myself, my God, this is really, he's a radio actor. He acts with his voice. He's a radio actor. And that, he learned all that in radio, of course. And he just brought it with him. And it was very interesting to watch and to see that.
voyage lasted 30 days, but you will remember it as long as you live.
I mean, it's not one of those films that I really ever think about, but because it's sort of, a film that I don't think it took, maybe it took 3 months to do for me, but, and that was it, But it was lovely being in Barcelona. It was lovely being with this cast. Well, I hung out mainly with, I think, Lee Grant a lot. She had a daughter there who was a very fine actress, turns out, in later times. She was only 18 or 17 or something. And I used to hang with her in the bar, and so that was great. And she had this wonderful husband who was a chef, who was a great cook, and all that. So, and years later, actually, I ended up being in a television movie with George Segal, and the star of it was Carol Burnett, that Lee directed. And I was really so happy to do it. It was up in Vancouver. I went up there, and, 3 weeks up there or something. And I did it, and we had fond memories. And we were laughing about Lynn, of course, who married Peter Sellers and all that. So, yeah, that's, there were fond memories, fond memories. Brilliant cameraman, and a brilliant editor, Tom Priestley, who just passed away. Yeah, I worked with Tom too on another film, and he was extremely good. But yes, Billy Williams. I mean, I think that's the only film I did with him. He was really incredible, though. And as I remember, pretty quick. Not that that's a way to judge a cameraman, it isn't. But, of course, directors love that,
You went from this to potentially Caligula.
Well, it was, I think I did. Yeah, I think I shot it. I think I shot it in 78. I could be wrong. Maybe they edited it in 78, and it, but maybe it was a little earlier. So maybe I went straight there after this. That is entirely possible. And I'll tell you how I kind of know, because I have the same car. I drove from London to Barcelona through France and just enjoying myself. And then I had the same car and had my driver, Tommy Lee, drive me to Rome to start on Caligula. So it must have been within 2 years, because I don't think I'd keep the car that long.
Do you have any memories of, I'm not sure if you ever actually met Lou Grade, but
I met him. I met him on a few occasions. He was a very affable man, very nice. And, he sort of was the sort of savior of the British entertainment, his whole ITV, television and stuff, and him and the Delphonts, which he was part of that family, were the mainstays of everything that happened in the entertainment business in England or the United Kingdom. And, you could say, well, his taste was awful, but, he got some really interesting movies made. So, he got a lot of bad ones too, terrible, but it didn't matter. And because, who's telling for taste? I mean, he'll just do the stuff he thinks is going to make money in the end of the day. And apparently he loved Voyage of the Damned. I think he was mystified as to why it didn't catch on more. And maybe it was, the way they sold it. It's such a strange phenomenon, all that, I mean, I certainly don't pretend to know anything about it. And I've been doing it for 60 years.
Sometimes the truth is more dramatic, more powerful than the wildest fiction. The names have been changed, but this is the incredible true story of the ship that shamed the world. Voyage of the Damned.
I'm kind of glad it's sort of come back a bit because I think it's a good movie, isn't it? I mean, it's watchable. And a lot of them weren't, let's face it. So, I mean, to be in a movie that's, and also it's very interesting to watch, you know, all these people in small parts that went on to do, you know, great work. I mean, to see Jonathan Pryce, you know, such a good actor. Anyway, yeah, it was a fun time to work with all those great people. It was cool, very cool.